They shouldn't have given you ashy blokes YouTube.
Cursed be the ground, for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
You can't win, you can't break even, and you can't get out of the game. People keep saying things are gonna change, but they look just like they stay the same. You're getting way over your head, and you only got yourself to blame. You can't win, child, can't break even, can't get out of the game. Yeah. I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
All right, you Dusty Jermaines and you Ashy Jeffries, back in the house, okay, with a Monday Ibmor, Monday Daily Ibmor. For those of you that missed out or may have missed out, I actually did a open panel on my Master Teacher's Response channel on Sunday. It's supposed to only be an hour. It wound up being 3, and even at that I had to kick people off. So it is what it is. So let's go ahead and get it started. Free agent Triple OG batting first, batting second, Rame Lab. Batting third, the Ashy Bloke grab second gear Eddie out there fresh from doing donuts in the parking lot. Adric, batting cleanup. Ilias, what's going on? Barry Little Maple Leaf, what's happening? What part to go on, man? Supreme Pivot, what's going on? Trail, DJ Scan, Rowdy, the Dusty Cloud Engineer. We have T-shirts probably coming out called the Dusty Cloud Engineers. Detro. Oh, right after this Michigan win. Okay. You losing? What's up? Dusty Jones, what's happening? Guy Incognito, fair and critical on the Dems and on Trump. One day, Guy Incognito will actually learn politics. Beyond the basics, what's going on? Shadow watching? Oh, while I work on Armageddon. Okay. And don't let Mookie work you too hard, man. Hurricane Greg, what's going on? Valeri, what's going on? Prince, what's happening? Fernando's, what's going on? Yeah, you guys will probably be needed a lot more now, is because the BRICS and Putin and China's getting ready to switch a lot of this stuff over to ledgers, to crypto ledgers. So a lot of your trade, as far as currency trades, are going to be crypto ledgers. So they're going to need people like you to actually come in and actually manage that shit. So you guys will probably be the new bankers. Forever blessed, what's happening? Michael, what's going on? Rocky, what's happening? Big Trick in the building. Congrats, man. If the picture is what I think it is, congrats. Inspired Truth, what's going on? Jay, what's going on? Toy with Apple, this is hoping that you get a Thunderbolt, ma'am. Dane Rose, what's going on? Sincere, what's going on? SW, it's always your main's fault. It was unless you're in the UK or Africa, then it's Jeffrey's fault. Poseidon, you can blame it on Jeffrey in the UK. Deron, what's happening? Jay Shabazz, Jay Mar, Tunnel Runner, what's going on, Tunnel Runner? Trail, and yeah, another boy. Okay, cool, cool. He's cute, man. He's cute. I saw the picture. He's cute in that little bundle. Boy, awfully light though. Little Tito, what's happening? So let's go ahead and get the party started. I actually wanted to review this by Dr. Neal, and I should have done it last week, but I didn't get to it last week because of all the crap that was going on. So I'm going to get to it this week, and we're going to review Dr. Neal. That's the wrong one. Go back. Dr. Neal and the esteemed Dr. T talking about the elections and Trump, the elections, and what Dr. Neal calls the mommy state. So we're gonna do that and review this. Now it's Jeffrey with a J, okay, not Joffrey, but Jeffrey. Get it right. Jeffrey with a J, just like Jermaine with a J, just like Jose. If you're a dirty foot Jose down in Latin America, okay. Jose with a J. All right, let's go ahead and get this started. Reviewing this, we're actually doing a reaction to this. I think I've heard a little bits of it, so basically I'm seeing this fresh like you guys are.
Predicted, and I did that in the video. I did a video called "This a New Day" a week before, or several days before. Yeah, basically almost a week before the November 5th election, and I said that it was my conviction that Trump was going to win. I also
Guy Incognito, you wouldn't have said that before the election. You say that now after you lost. You wouldn't have said that before the election.
said that if Kamala won, and there was a possibility. I said if she did pull it off, it would be
a miracle. It would have been a miracle. And same thing I said. How come when I said it, you didn't believe it, the Guy Incognito? When I said it, you didn't believe it, but when he says it, you believe it. And I'm like Rodney Dangerfield. I don't get no respect.
And but I did lean on Trump winning the election.
Speed it up just a tad.
And the reason why I did that is because the Democratic Party did such a horrible job.
Yes.
With Joe Biden. And
yes.
his presidency.
Yes.
They made so many mistakes.
Yes.
Since 2020, when Biden, took office or was elected along with Kamala Harris and everything. And
Kamala Harris is the DEI hire, okay, for VP.
They really dropped the ball in Biden's last year with Biden not dropping out and not allowing there to be a real primary process to go forward and everything. And then they just kind of they shoehorn Kamala Harris in there without being vetted and all of
Yes.
that, and with her history and
Yes.
with their doubts. And I knew that she was just a weak candidate, having performed poorly in 2019, 2020 when she threw her
Yes.
hat into
Yes.
the presidential race and everything, and all the press that she got, all the criticisms of her record as a prosecutor
Yes.
in California, the state that you're in. You know what I mean? And the Black First people, really criticizing her on reparations and
Mm.
everything. And you remember that video? I mean, everybody has played that video over and over again when she's being interviewed by the Griot, and she just says clearly that she wasn't going to do anything for Black people, and that if anything, she would do, she would put forth universal policies, and so that wasn't a response that people who are pro reparations or
Yeah.
pro Black or Black nationalists or whatever want to hear, But anyway, but to get your question, I wasn't surprised. Now I anticipated Trump winning.
Mhm.
I didn't quite see the level of devastation
Mm.
that would be wrought through a Trump win.
Talk
So
about it.
I figured that there wouldn't that the margins there would be a gap, not a huge gap, but I did not anticipate a landslide. You know what I'm saying?
Mm.
I did not anticipate demolition. You know what I
Ooh.
mean? If anything, I mean we can call Trump demolition man. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
And honestly, it was not about Kamala Harris, in my
Mm.
mind. Yeah. That loss was not about Kamala Harris. That loss was about the Democratic
Yes, I agree.
Party.
It was the failure of the Democratic Party. 100%. 100%. They're on some BS.
Okay, and so what happened on November 5th and the ensuing days was really the dismantling of the Democratic Party. Okay,
Okay.
through the Electoral College and the popular vote, there was red everywhere. Okay, and so I did not foresee that type of result.
I think I'm going to find that picture of the Dark Knight when the Joker was walking away from the hospitals. He was blowing up buildings. that was Donald Trump blowing up the Democratic Party.
Mhm.
I figured, yeah, he's gonna win. And slight margins to his advantage or what have you, but just a complete demolition,
Yeah.
of the party.
They haven't released numbers, but they released percentages. The percentages are out, but the numbers aren't out.
I did not see that. And now looking back, I kind of understand how that happened. Because their tactics, their strategy of fear, simply did not work.
No, it did not.
All the rhetoric about, the boogeyman and fascism and danger, danger, danger. They were beating the same drum, that they beat in 2016 with Hillary Clinton, and they just would not let that drum go. And then the other thing is that, I think this was a very organic indigenous response to the Republican Party. That is that this was a working class triumph. Yeah, I've never. And here's the thing. So, I'm a guy, and I think I can safely say that you're in that camp too, who takes class seriously, class analysis and everything.
Mhm.
And a lot of the work that we do, I mean, we deal with a lot of class stuff, and with Black men, working class Black men and boys, Black men and boys who are in the lower income, of the United States and everything like that. And we do the high value guys and the middle class and the upper and all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But the core of the Black male populace is in that working class sphere, and
Yeah. Well, the thing is, the difference is from 2020 was an anomaly because most people were off work and they were at home, and so they had a lot of mail-in ballots from 2020. So that's how come you had a 20-25% rise in voter turnout in 2020 versus 2024 is because people are back at work. So people they keep forgetting to throw that in.
so we are already there. But I never thought that I would see a kind of working class revolt or rejection against the Democratic Party. Never. You know what I mean? I mean, we never, we hear the days about labor and the labor movements and all that kind of stuff, of the, the 50s and the 40s and the early 60s. But, we came of age, when we came of age in the late 70s and early 80s up to the, 90s and everything like that, labor was basically dead, And so,
I actually played a bit from Colonel Wilkerson, and he said the same thing that I've been hearing. This is probably the worst administration probably in United States history. Outside, maybe, I remember the president just before Lincoln that caused the Civil War. He might have been the worst, but the thing is, this has to be among the worst administrations probably in United States history. Okay, this is coming from people on the inside. This Biden should have never been elected. Okay, he should have never been pushed to the front. They should have went on and took a risk on Bernie Sanders and let Bernie Sanders see what he could do in office. But they didn't. So they put Biden in, and Biden and the neocons had an agenda. It's probably the worst administration in U.S. history.
Had no real labor movement. The left was mainly fringes. The class left, the economic.
Yeah. The I think it was Buchanan that brought in the moral tariffs and caused a split between the North and the South, and that's what caused the Civil War.
Left, the ones that focused primarily on class. Like Cornel West. Adolph Reed. People like
W was mediocre. I don't think he was bad. He's mediocre.
That Black Agenda Report, and so I never thought that I would ever see this type of revolt of the working class towards the Democratic establishment, particularly under the Republican Party. So this is huge. This is huge. Given the fact that the Democratic Party has a labor history, what I mean, and all of that, and basically pushed out labor. And it was really with, Bill Clinton was the main catalyst for that. He was the one when he became president in '92, and and it was a bipartisan thing. Now it was him and the Republicans at that time when they did the North American Free Trade Agreement and everything like
that. Between him and George H. Bush, he started doing what he called the side deals. Clinton was a corporate neoliberal Democrat. Probably worse. Carter was milk toast compared to Clinton. Reagan was actually milk toast compared to Clinton.
That they just deindustrialized the United States.
Yes.
Further from what it had been industrialized beginning in the 70s and everything like that. Put the nail in the coffin.
Yeah.
And it not only devastated white people, because people talk about the working class, always, the idea is that the working class is white, but the working class is multiracial. It's black people are in the working class. So deindustrialization impacted black people, black men in particular, and then crack. What stepped in? The vacuum, the drug markets, and all that kind of stuff. Dudes couldn't get jobs, crime markets, and then prison explosion, Anyway, but the point was this working class revolt was just, I just never thought I would live to see anything like it in my life, Well,
I do want to quickly say, in terms of what you just said, I really appreciate that, because even during that era in the 80s, when we talked about the drug wars, black men were treated like we were synonymous with drugs. And there was, you rarely heard anybody put it in historical context, because we know that deindustrialization wave really hit in the late 70s.
Yeah.
The rise of the drug wars. We go through the 80s, the black community looked.
In fact, I was listening to Jamal Thomas this morning, and basically he played a clip of Joe Biden showing how much crack cocaine that you need to have in your possession to send you to jail for 5 years. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. If they catch you with that amount of cocaine, you go to jail for 5 years. Period. People forget that.
Looks like Beirut.
Yeah.
We hit the 90s, then Clinton comes in with NAFTA.
Yeah.
But the way black men are treated in that discussion was like we were always tied to drugs. That's all we were about. And somehow all of these, global economic issues really didn't have much to do with us. We were just a bunch of, drug addicts and drug, sell that, So I appreciate you bringing that in, because I think a lot of people overlook the dynamics, how these dynamics impact the black community and black men in particular.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, another person I didn't mention was William Julius Wilson. If you remember, William Julius Wilson, he wrote that famous book in the late 90s called When Work Disappears, you know what I mean? And dealing with Chicago and all of that. And then he had, the book that made him famous was The Declining Significance of Race. Like in the early, I mean, it made him famous, but it also made him controversial because he was really focusing, he had a thick class analysis, and he was condemned. People called him a conservative and everything like that. And the black intelligentsia, the mainstream of the black intelligentsia, which would become the feminist and everybody else, so all these cultural leftists, they were like, this is about masculinity. That was
William Julius Wilson was complaining about the same thing that the women complain about on a low key. It was just a male doing it. They treated him just like they treated Kenneth Clark in the '60s.
That was the thing about Wilson. They said, this is about black men and masculinity, and we don't need to talk about this and anything like that. Even though his work, got the attention of Bill Clinton and everything like that, which didn't really do anything. But he saw those things, he wrote about those things, and continued to write about them, and he was really ignored by the super elite, and so now here we are decades later, and we're seeing everything. I mean, we're seeing the revolt of people who felt the brunt and the pain of all those forces, what I mean, 30 years ago.
Yeah. You got the market crash of '08, you got COVID, all of that hitting us, homelessness, and those things are compounding.
Yeah.
But let me get to black men and Trump. Now we know with Obama, really with the left altogether, this accusation, and I've said this before, we started hearing it the moment that Kamala was picked as the front runner. These kinds of, and this is mostly coming from black feminists, but on CNN and whatnot, making statements early on that black men were going to be the cause of her failing or whatnot. So we start to see this very early on. What is your assessment?
Carter and Wilson, that would probably be Hoover. Okay, Carter was a decent president. Wilson was an okay president. Biden is probably the worst administration.
Assessment of the relationship of black men to Trump, to this presidency, and really all of the kind of stereotyping about black men that led up to this. I mean, over the last few months. What are your thoughts?
But if you go back and read about James Buchanan before the Civil War, he was horrible. He was absolutely horrible. He was a Southern Democrat that couldn't keep the South from seceding, and they kept warning him. He was almost like a do nothing president. So he was horrible.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting. So you really, I go back to like 2016 because that's when we first kind of started getting some of those rumblings there. When Trump was able to get a small number, I think. And I don't quote me verbatim, but he had like 8% or whatever, at that particular time. He's either 8 to 10, something like that. And then we fast forward to 2016 to 2020, and then again we get those rumblings in terms of polls and all the pollings, the so-called pollings about black men, because whenever we're spoken about, everything is magnified. There's always it's always
because we have the loudest women on the planet. That's why
the boogeyman lens. You know what I mean? Even though, as we know, the vast majority of black men vote for Democrats and what have you. All it takes is a small number of us to create this hysteria and what have you. So we saw that again. This is when I first came on YouTube, and what I noticed was that it's coming from these elite people. It is coming from the bourgeois. I call them the white identified feminists, liberals, the professional class, or what have you. It's coming from there. The griot, the root. I don't even know if it's still alive right now. But you had all the usual suspects in black bourgeois media. Just doubling down on stereotypes and hysteria and everything like that, and associating us with white masculinity, and we want to be patriarchs. So we saw that in 2020, and then if you remember, we saw it again during the midterms. With the gubernatorial races, particularly Stacey Abrams' race in Georgia. There was a lot.
That was first real indication of what we call the ice cube effect, which is black male independence.
A lot of noise around black men, not voting for Stacey Abrams or
Yep.
what have you. Killer Mike was, having these conversations with Brian Kemp, you know what I mean, that started back in 2020 and everything like that. And hit pieces, written hit pieces were directed at Killer Mike, like telling him that you need to get in line, and people calling him a coon and a Sambo and all that kind of stuff.
Much like with Ice Cube, yeah.
And then Ice Cube, can't forget about Ice Cube. Yeah. So, I mean, Ice Cube was there, So fast forward, 2024, here we go again.
Yeah.
Here we go again. And this time, it expands. It's like exponentially, the demonization of black men who are polling for Trump.
The thing is, black women get the mic, but amplifier is actually white women.
Black men who are being vocal on YouTube, and that's another thing, because they assigned it to disinformation and misinformation that these black men are getting these bad ideas and wrong perspectives from social media and from all of these tech sources and what have you. And so it just magnifies. But specifically when it comes down, to this election right here, man. What I saw, and it was a good thing. I saw was different is that you have more black men speak to that. More black men reject it.
Yeah.
More black men unapologetically saying, we have agency. You don't own us. This is what we're going to do, and what have you. But what I will say is that we saw a level of fear of black men, the possibility. Yeah. So in the exit numbers, at least the ones we have now, last I noticed, so at a national level, Trump got like 20%. Okay. I know in certain states, he got like 25% or 26 or 27. I'm in North Carolina. He got 21% in North Carolina. But the level of demonization was very concerning.
Yeah.
So much so that I asked myself, are you people who are talking like this, are you suggesting
a Dusty PhD? It probably is you, because it's I'm pretty clear, but I don't know what everybody else is getting, because
that something
my speeds are pretty good
to this group of men. That is, when I was listening to the rhetoric, this anti-black male rhetoric, those who are voting for Trump, okay, those who are polling that way and those who are vocal, it's like, are y'all calling for, kind of like, Netanyahu and the Palestinians or whatever? Are you calling for a genocide? Here's the thing. So what? If they vote for him, what y'all gonna do?
Yeah.
I'm like, what kind of punishment would be meted out? You understand? And what type of it struck me as a real psychosis, because you didn't see that with the Latinos.
Yeah.
Like you had one or two people, like, the people on The View, talking about Latino men, but they are like isolated, people and everything like that. You don't have this thing all over, which spreads so much so that the conservative media picks it up. So Fox News picks it up. Fox News picks up the rhetoric against these black men.
Yep.
I'm watching Voices, Megyn Kelly.
Yep.
I'm watching her stuff. She's talking about it. She's bringing black men on her platform, talking about it.
Yep.
The guy in Valuetainment.
Yes, sir. In other words, the tar baby is undefeated. Doesn't matter what they say about you. The thing is, do they spell your name right? Okay. And black women that think that they're trying to crush us, they're actually spreading it. Okay. It's like the blob, right? Tar baby's like the blob. Okay. You blow it up, you're just gonna spread it. It's gonna grow in different spots. It's just gonna grow faster. That's what happened.
I can't think of it. David Beck, something. He has a big platform. He's talking about it. Candace Owens is talking about it.
Yep.
You have these conservatives in a very interesting way coming out, kind of defending black men.
Yep.
Okay. And it's not just a defense of them because they want black men on their side. Okay. But it's like, this is anti-democratic. This is anti-democratic. This is anti-American. This is something else. I call
the gynocracy is fascist. Okay.
But I say this is just demonic. You know what I mean? So the thing was that this election, what it did, it exposed the depths and depths of anti-black male hatred that exists in certain quarters of Black America.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, it's among these college-educated professionals. It is among the bourgeoisie. That's where it is articulated the strongest, and it is most vociferous, man. And it, for me, it was concerning. It was scary. It didn't scare me or anything like that. But yeah, it's highly problematic, man.
Right.
Yeah.
Talk about well, so we know, especially coming from the left, the treatment of Black men has been getting progressively worse.
Yes.
But the statement is that Black men only began to look at the right because of their identification with Trump. The idea is that we're drawn to his toxic masculinity, and we only, for the Black men that voted for Trump, they only did so because of that. Tell us what people are missing when they come to the table with that type of analysis. What are they missing about where Black men are?
Yeah, I'm gonna be blunt. What they're missing? They're missing money.
Okay.
Money. That is what they are missing. They are missing socioeconomic mobility. That's it. Socioeconomic advancement. Okay.
I have 305 watching, 126 likes. Please like the video. If you can't donate money, donate a like, please.
All right. You got these Black men. You have some Black men who own businesses. They want to flourish in terms of what they do as entrepreneurs or what have you. You got Black men who are working in the trades. They're working to the working class Black men. You got people who are concerned about, inflation. They're concerned about prices, just basic regular stuff. But I think overall, here's the thing. Why shouldn't a Black man want to improve his economic circumstances?
Facts. Say it again, Black man. Say it again.
What's wrong with that? These people, when they talk about Trump and being toxic and all that kind of stuff and their attraction, and they say they like him because he's a businessman. Yes, that's why they like him, because he's a businessman.
Yeah, strange how that happens.
They like him because he has a record, okay, in terms of industry. I don't care what people think about the man. Yeah, he's a billionaire, but he's a billionaire and whatever. I don't care what you think about billionaires or whatever, but business, money, and all of that. And they talked about the rappers. Why the rappers have always loved Trump? It's always been about money. It's always been about lifestyle. Who wants to be poor, man? Who wants to be poor? Who wants to be voluntarily poor? Okay. And here's the thing: the left has not given Black men an alternative.
Yeah.
What alternative do you have there? Okay, they see us. Here's the thing: they see us primarily through the lens of criminality, prison, the courts, and all that. Just like now, man, look at all these videos coming out of these so-called angry Black people, particularly Black women, who are saying, don't look to us if you get shot down by the cops or whatever, and Trump gives these cops immunity and blah 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 and everything like that. That reduces us to criminality. That reduces us to not just criminality, but just law enforcement.
Why should we date or couple with women that will say something ugly like that to us? I always say, which is I don't understand the psyche of Black males. Okay, no other woman can say that about their men, and that their men still date them. Chinese women cannot say that about Chinese men. Chinese women start saying that bullshit about Chinese men. They say, guess what? I'd rather die alone. I'd rather keep my money to myself, live me a good single life, rather than put up with you insufferable Chinese bitches. And they stand on that square, right? Black men are the only group of men, and Whoopi Goldberg said the same thing, right? Okay. This is a conversation Black women have been having with Black men forever, and we're used to them talking to us that way. And then we complain about how they talk to us. But the thing is, you let them talk to you that way.
Relationship with law enforcement. That's very narrow. So the left, and my book, it's called
Appreciate That, Ghetto User.
Beyond Death in Jail. And a lot of my stuff, I have a lot of stuff in there. I talk a lot about criminal justice. I talk about the prison industrial complex, abolitionism. The criminal justice reform movement and all of that kind of stuff. I deal with punishment, cruel and unusual punishment. But the book is much broader in scope because I said, listen, those things matter, but they're just a reflection. They're just the tip of the iceberg of much broader issues. Here's the thing. Black men who have jobs, who are gainfully employed, who have money in their pockets, who have socioeconomic mobility, their chances of having a George Floyd incident diminish significantly. Now, not to say that this black man cannot get his butt whipped by a cop.
You ain't shit, Neon, but black love.
Okay, I am not saying that by any stretch of the imagination. Okay, but when you look,
What about the tariffs that may cause more inflation? What about the cutting of the veterans' benefits? We have to wait and see if that'll happen, sir. Have to see that will happen. He's not even in office. Has he cut them yet? Have the tariffs gone through yet? What about? Everybody come on, what about? He hasn't even gotten in office. He won't be in office for another almost 2 months? You have no idea what he's going to do until he gets in, and no president does. Hold on, BGS. I was indoctrinated in struggle love. I didn't know I had a choice. That's why they can't stand the black manosphere, because we're saying that you have a choice.
What I call it unincorporated Black America.
So, dearest, what about the 120 billion, the 150 billion you sent to Ukraine? What about what about all the money, the 150 billion or 450 billion that the United States has spent on importing all these people? What about that? What about the doubling of the inflation under Biden? This already happened. What about that? What about it? Bueller? The Dusty IT tax, preach you. Or the Dusty IT guide tax. Okay, appreciate you.
So you have environments all over, wherever you find black people, particularly black people who are lower income and what have you, and poor, that are highly policed. It's like I call it the prison within the prison. When you have black men who are living in environments that are like prison conditions, those George Floyd situations happen.
Yes. Yeah.
But here's the thing: when you're gainfully employed, when you have socioeconomic mobility, when you're able to move, when you're able to move from these crisis crime-driven urban areas, and let's just say you move to the suburbs. Okay, the chances of you getting into a George Floyd situation diminish. Again, you ain't scot-free now. But think about it: all those deaths. Alton Sterling, poor black man. Okay, Eric Garner, poor black man.
Yep.
Okay, all these Michael Brown.
Yep.
Okay, living in areas where you have high concentrations of poverty, and poverty is the key thing. And so what happens is when people talk about criminal justice and people talk about policing and all that kind of stuff, they never talk about socioeconomics. They never.
In the ghetto. Black women protests are performative theater at best, using black male victims to push the womanist agenda. See Soros-funded 501c3 BLM for proof. Yep, that's what they do. And in fact, the young men in St. Louis that pushed back against Soros and the BLM got murked. About 6 or 7 of them got murked. Burnt up in cars, shot down by police. Hung in trees, all kind of stuff, man.
Never talk about capitalism. I mean, you have Glenn Lowry, and I have a lot of respect for him.
Barry Little said, "Put some respect on BGS likes BMI, BMA till the casket drops and kingdom come." Yes, sir. Guy can say, "Dudes in our community would stay with a disrespectful chick no matter what." Poor Travis Hunter. I think Travis is gonna bounce if she keep running off her mouth. He's just gonna leave her.
Intellectual at Brown. This guy, he's written about prisons, but he has a podcast right now that he does called The Glenn Show, and he's on there with John McWhorter. And he's a guy from Chicago, right? He's an economist now. He's an economist, and,
Right.
and he has this real tough on crime thing. And Lowry wants.
Fernando Castillo wasn't broke. He was a veteran. Okay. Just because you're a veteran doesn't mean you have money. There's a lot of homeless veterans.
Wants more prisons, and he wants more punishment and all that kind of stuff. And you're talking about black boys, black male youth, black men in these neighborhoods. Yeah, of course they got gang activity and all that kind of stuff. But his solution is incarceration.
Oh, okay.
But the thing is that is never a solution. I mean, that's not a long term, that's not a lasting solution because it doesn't stop crime.
Right.
But to get to what I was saying initially is that so many of us reduce how we think about black men to our interactions with law enforcement alone.
Yeah.
We don't talk about black men and black men's relationship to capitalism,
True.
the larger economy,
That is true.
getting employed. That's why the immigration issue was such a big thing for black men.
Sir, okay, there's always an exception to every rule. Always an exception to every rule. You have athletes that have been arrested and almost shot. Okay, there's an exception to every rule. In fact, there was a New York NBA player in New York City. Okay, very rich, very famous. Okay, I think he was damn near murked by the New York City police. But that's not what he's getting at. I think because you liberals, there's a favorite word you guys like to use. It's called nuance. Okay, use it.
That's why it was that was big in Chicago, okay, in Texas, in Louisiana, in New York City,
Yep.
okay, and all over the country where you have this immigrant issue, okay, in Florida, all right. I mean, the fact of the matter is that this undocumented labor is labor that competes with the labor of
Yes,
citizens.
it
I mean,
does.
that's just true.
It's true.
So if you're 18 years old and you're coming out of high school and you're not going straight into the trades or you're not going to a 2-year school or whatever, or to college, you're not going to the military, and you want to go into the labor market, who are you going to compete with?
Yeah.
For low wage jobs.
Yeah. Yeah.
And most of us start off. I've worked, when I was, I'm 51 now, man. When I was in college, I mean, I worked in warehouses. So I worked the minimum wage, man. I mean, I remember those days, man. $7 an hour, man. You know what I mean? And that's a real thing. So what happens when these industries, pay people under the table? They don't have to pay them. They don't have to do health insurance. They don't have to do anything.
No benefits. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So back then the minimum wage was $7 an hour. They can pay these people $3.45.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
And the same dynamic applies now, man. You know what I mean? And there have been black men, who have talked about these things in different places around the country, having to compete with labor. You know what I mean? And then you have there's the other thing.
And J.D. Vance was saying the exact same thing to the Fed chairman. Okay, the exact same thing about immigration and the competition for jobs and how come we can't do the same thing for the population of men that are here, especially the population of men that are in prison, the same way we do it for immigrants. Give them $2,000 a month. Give them Section 8 housing. Give them food stamps. And then give them the training. You can do that. You're spending the money anyway. How come you don't spend it on your citizens? So he's exactly right. It does not. It does not. It's highly unskilled labor. It's bullshit. It's actually bullshit. Nope, that's bullshit. You got the same. You have people in Ohio. What is it? Springfield, Ohio, working warehouses. Same jobs that black people would work. Okay, you had them living in housing, new housing that white and black people were supposed to get. Okay, I'm in a border state. Okay, those people that come over here get into the construction industry. They compete directly with skilled construction people. Okay, unionized construction people. In fact, 2018, the black male construction workers, okay, carpenters and stuff like that, complained about influx of undocumented workers coming in and being able to get jobs in the trades. In fact, we just had to kill a bill in California that would allow undocumented workers or TPS workers to come in and actually work in the colleges. You have TPS workers working in airlines. Okay, so they're not all unskilled. It's bullshit. It's only a matter of time before illegal immigrants take over the trades as well. They are already heavily in construction. Yeah, they are. And the government wants us to stay on the bottom. That's true. It's bullshit. I know better.
You've got the Amazon guys. You got the guys who drive trucks.
Yes.
Man, I just talked to a guy recently, man. I just stopped a guy who worked for Amazon, and I asked this guy, black guy, man, young guy, he's probably in his mid to late 20s or what have you. And I just asked him a direct question. I said, bro, I said, tell me something, man. I said, is Amazon treating you well?
Mm.
And the brother was like, man, let me tell you something, man. He said, I'm trying to get up out of there. Okay.
Yeah.
He says, I'm having to work crazy hours, you know what I mean, just to make ends meet. And the schedules are grueling and everything, you know what I mean? And he's doing, and this wasn't, he seemed like a guy who might have went to college.
The thing is, most people in construction are not highly skilled like that. The same jobs the same jobs they pay $20 an hour to start in construction, okay? Building houses, laying drywall, all that kind of crap that you get paid for could be jobs for American people, okay? And what do you think they're going to be? Where do you think they're going to be in 3 or 4 years if they can go to college, okay? If they can take trade programs, they're going to be competing with you. They already are. It's bullshit.
To me, he struck me as one of these type of guys. But that's the job you're doing now.
Oh, brother. I was just telling somebody about this.
Exactly. Mechanic here in the border state, it's real when it comes to the building trades. Yes, sir. That man, it's been that way in California, man, for ages. I was down in Guatemala maybe like 10 years ago, man. I was actually hanging out with a brother, a Guatemalan who got deported from the United States in a church, right? Okay. He was driving a delivery truck for 10 years, man. He was sending his daughters to college. He had just bought a house, sending his daughters to college. He's actually an illegal immigrant, okay? He was not doing a low-skill job. It's bullshit. That's bullshit. Depends. I don't care. Man, I don't give a shit. Depends on what state it is. You're wrong, motherfucker. Stop.
2 weeks ago, I had a package. And then in Amazon, they sent me a notification. They said your package will be delivered at 4 a.m. on Thursday or whatever. And I'm sitting here going, now others have told me they've seen that before, but I had not seen that. Usually mine came during working hours, but I'm like, now they're at 2 a.m.
A delivery truck is medium skill. It's not low skill. Okay, low skill is you working for McDonald's flipping burgers. Okay.
4 a.m. I'm like, this is really where it's going.
Okay. Yeah. So listen. So when you talk about those guys who like Trump, that's what we're talking about, man. You know what I mean? I mean, we're talking about these guys, and then there's the young guys, the guys who are young enough to not be indoctrinated by boomer stuff. And so it's like you got the guys who are voting for the first time between the ages of 18 and 25.
Right.
And and
yeah, facts. Wrench Turner's in the he's in the trades, right? Facts. I saw a company paying illegals $11 hours to do sanitary welding on food grade stainless. Okay, that's a very specialized form of TIG welding. But there they were in Texas. There we were. I'm in Texas. There's a lot of very skilled tradesmen down in Latin America. Okay, they start when they're kids. Okay. They start with their kids. They compete against high-wage labor here. Dude, okay. Okay. Let's halt this for a second, okay? You got so much to say. There it is, okay? It doesn't mean whether that don't mean shit, man. That don't mean shit. What you're saying doesn't mean shit. Okay? Facts on the ground. Okay? Facts on the ground. It's not just black, white people that are complaining about it because you have unemployed people. Okay? You have unemployed people making less than $10,000 a year. Okay? They compete with those people. 40% of your Americans make less than $25,000 a year. and working or what you call low skill wage. Okay, truck drivers, all that kind of crap, right? Okay, low skill people, as you call them. Okay, your immigrants compete with 70% of Americans. 70%. 70%, especially men.
Those they're they're open, and also they're men if they're especially if they're straight and what have you, and they are still being held to the same masculine standards as everybody else.
Yeah.
No one is treating them any different.
Right.
Even though they have gone through a gynocentric public school system,
Yep.
okay, they are still told that they got to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and everything like that.
And because they took the trades out of the schools, man, because women don't do trades, and you have a gynocentric school system because they want boys and men to be women. But the thing is, if you want to build something, the skills don't exist here. You either train these kids, or you have to go get it from someplace else. It's cheaper to get it from someplace else. Stop.
They are still dealing with females perspectives that say you have to do all these things for me and all this kind of stuff. These guys, they're growing up as traditional males because
Right.
the society, because the thing about it is that the institutions have not accommodated us, with
Mhm.
all this talk about privilege and all this kind of stuff, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
The legal system has not accommodated us.
Mhm.
Tradition
Actually, it wasn't Ronald Reagan. Actually, fucking Bill Clinton. Okay. Bill Clinton took the trades out of schools because he actually wanted to gear the educational system to single mothers. Okay, Bill Clinton took the trades out of school. Okay, under Common Core. How do I know? Because I was alive. Okay, when Ronald Reagan was in office. Okay, the trades were still in schools. Bill Clinton took the trades out of schools.
Traditional employers have not accommodated us. And, as I'm talking to you, I'm thinking about the athletes. It's like, nothing has changed with athletics. I mean, the thing is that a lot of young guys are still seeing football and basketball as the way out.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's that's almost like a working class thing. You know what I mean?
Let me ask you this. I recently did a review of an interview with Richard Reeves, and Reeves was talking about he was being asked, I should say, about how the left dropped the ball with men across race.
Yes.
Most of the time when he talks about men, he's mainly talking about white men.
Yeah.
But my question to you has to do with the whole gamut. Where do you think the issue is with men in this election across race, as far as both the left and the right are concerned? What actually happened? Because you have the right accusing Trump of just trying to run on this masculinity idea, but then on the left you have this kind of attack on masculinity that's been going on for years now. But how did that affect this election? And what do you think?
If Trump's running on masculinity, how come 53% of white women voted for his ass? Okay, he was running on masculinity. It's bullshit.
Needs to happen in the next few elections as far as men across race are concerned?
Yeah, I think that the left is now feeling the consequences of misandering. I think that's what we saw in this election. I think that especially again with the young guys, and I've seen some of the interviews with Reeves and everything like that on this issue. And I agree with many of his sentiments and everything like that. Yeah.
In fact, Bill Clinton took it out, and basically Obama, because he needed people for shovel-ready projects, started to put the trades back into schools. Okay, because Obama started putting trades back into schools, and basically Trump extended that. But the thing is, you lost a whole generation of kids that didn't get trained. Okay, that's what happened.
Yeah, the left has, they've doubled down on toxic masculinity in recent years. But here's the thing.
That's bullshit. They were not gone. Okay, they were not gone. You just had two people come up and say they took wood shop and metal shop and auto mechanics in high schools. Bullshit.
A lot of these commentators, they want to confine it to like maybe the last 5 to 8 years or what have you.
Well, stop
But
speaking.
the history is
Well,
much
stop
longer
speaking for everybody then. Okay, stop speaking for everybody.
than that. Okay, so we're talking about decades now. All right, we're talking about half a century, a slow build up. You know what I mean? And we can just say it just toxic masculinities, these ideas began to really mushroom
Yeah.
within the last 10 years. Okay, they really began to mushroom, and you have a whole new generation coming up, and they're feeling
No,
it,
so was
you know,
no,
and they're getting
now
it.
when you made your statement, did you say depending on what state that you're in? Did you? Did you? I do. Basically, for the most part, man, this is really my job. I listen to I read all this shit. I read the papers. I hear these people talk. I hear Richard Wolf talk. Okay, we know when this shit happened. Okay, under most of this shit happened under Clinton. Most of your jobs got shipped to China under Clinton when he made actually listed as China as most favored nation status. Most of this shit happened under Clinton, who's a Democrat. Anyway, DEI, basically they said it, Tommy Curry said it, and Dr. T said it. DEI is for white women.
They don't have spaces, and then we got social media, and then what's taking up the slack, as you have the gamers, you got the UFC people, uh,
Hmm.
you have male traditional like male interest, media
Hmm.
that deals with traditional male interest, comic books and stuff like that. You just have that.
Hmm.
Uh, you got the failure of Hollywood. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah.
guys,
You don't want to hit the link, man, because you don't know what the fuck he's talking about.
rejecting that.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, so I just think that um, that has a lot, to do with it. And I do think, and I agree with some of the stuff that some of the conservatives are saying, that men's voices,
Hmm.
uh, the manosphere,
Hmm. Hmm.
but not just that, but the black manosphere,
Right. Right. Right.
Right.
and people who are adjacent or whatever.
I will
I
as soon as
believe,
I
I
finish,
think
okay?
that that had an effect as well. You know what I mean? Because what I'm seeing is that men, especially younger men, have discovered the power of voting as men.
Mm.
And, of course, the left, they want to reduce it to sexism and misogyny and toxic masculinity, and they don't like women, blah, 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 blah. And I think that's very simplistic. I think that the Democratic Party and the left and corporations and all that kind of stuff have done a good job at bifurcating American society. You know, we talked about it with respect to black men. You know what I mean? And we are
Hmm.
just we are a microcosm now of something that's much bigger. Okay, and I
What? I'm a veteran. I'm a union man. I'm not broke. I just got to. Well, then you should know what the fuck you're talking about, okay? Nobody asked you to come.
think that yeah, the male vote is a reaction to it, and then it's traditional masculinity. Here's
Mm.
the thing: traditional masculinity is a thing,
Hmm.
and it's not going anywhere. That
Mm.
is, men being economically self-sufficient, men being self-reliant.
Hmm.
Okay, hell, men being providers, that sort of thing, and protectors or whatever. Traditional male
And
socialization.
that's what women really want, okay? That's what I mean, especially black women. That's all you hear, okay? In fact, since 2020, you hear it even more. In other words, like Nikki Giovanni, that says, "I want what I want, and you'll figure it out." Well, how are we going to do that? Don't worry, it'll happen. We'll figure it out. In other words, it's on you. It's up to you to buck dance for your boss and come on and buck dance for me. And I don't care how you do it. You'll figure it out. That's black women. Anyway, continuing. Got about 5 more minutes and then I got to go.
Is still a thing.
Hmm.
I would say this, I'm not a big, fan of Jordan Peterson. I disagree with him on different levels, but what have you. But I heard him say this some time ago: is that just because you repress something doesn't mean that it's going to completely go away.
Yeah, yeah.
That
Hmm.
is that what
And
we
that's how you got a 60% surge in black female uh, uh, a 60% surge in black females going to college and getting degrees is because Bill Clinton forced them to go to college. Okay, you got a baby, you want welfare, you got 2 years. Well, think here's your way out. Go get you. We give you a free education. Most black women, that have babies get damn near a free education. Okay, uh, 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 by way of the state.
We've seen over the past decades is the repression
Hmm.
and the subordination of traditional masculinity,
Right.
not the elimination of it.
Yes, yes.
And so what happens is that if it's suppressed long enough and in a way that's very strenuous, what can happen is that it can create a
A,
serious reaction to it.
a
You know what
backlash.
I'm
A
saying?
Yeah.
A
backlash.
backlash. You know
Yes.
what I'm
Uh-huh.
saying? You
Yes.
know, and that people will kick. You know, it's kind of like the bully, right? You know
Hmm.
what I mean? If somebody bullies you long enough, all
Yeah.
right, and is
Yeah.
able, if somebody bullies you and is able to intimidate you long enough, you know what I mean? It's like we see this growing up. You know, the kid goes to school, he's bullied. You know what I mean? Every day for a week, and then the bullying doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. It doesn't stop. And then one day that kid gets some courage,
Yep.
and that kid takes the bully out. And he does it by any means necessary. That kid will fight dirty if that kid has to. Okay.
Right.
I remember being in a situation like that when I was a kid. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And that's when the bullying stopped. You know what I'm
Yep.
saying?
Mm.
Kid messed with me. He kept messing with me, and I pushed him. Then one day, I had it. I went off, jumped on him. You know, took him to town,
Hmm.
and ended up going to indoor suspension
Yeah.
for 6 days. But that bullying stopped.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
stopped. That
Yeah.
dude, he never said anything. It was respect
Right.
from that day on. You understand? So I think that's what we've seen now, because the bullying, it's been corporations, it's been academia, it's been education, K through 12. Okay, it's been Hollywood and all of that, just doubling down. I mean, let's go back to the '90s. You know, going all the way back to like the show like Married with Children and stuff like that, and
Hmm.
stuff that they were drumming in those shows.
Yeah.
Okay, and yeah, so eventually, people are going to say, you know what, enough is enough. But then again, you're going to have a young generation who can come along and says, oh well, you did this to my dad.
The backlash is here. Read, go check out Scott Galloway and Richard Reeves. Okay, backlash is already here. That's what they're complaining about with this election. You're seeing the backlash now. So for the people that are in the know, maybe you're on the late train. Okay, basically, for the people that are not on the so-called the slow bus, the little bus where they wear helmets.
Man,
Hmm. Hmm.
you did this to my uncles,
Right.
but you ain't going to do this to me.
Hmm.
So I think that's what happened in the election.
And we're seeing that split again across race. We're seeing a split between men and women in terms of the right and the left.
Yeah, you are
And
late.
it's
So
only been,
catch up.
getting more and more dramatic over time.
Oh, and here's the other thing, and I have to, and again, talking about Richard Reeves,
Hmm.
um, and I saw this in some interviews, and I have to agree. He says that when these young guys look at the right, they're not approached as demons. They're not spoken to,
Right.
talked down to, like Obama.
Right.
The way in which Obama talked to black men
Mhm.
was highly misandrous, highly offensive, highly
Condescending.
insulting,
Yeah.
condescending.
Hmm.
These people have been talking to us this way for decades.
Mhm.
Yes.
Okay, so what does it mean when you go over there? And this is the thing: you go over there, and they're not talking to you like that.
Yeah.
They're not beating you over the head and telling you that you're deficient and you're defective or whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
Now here's the thing about the right. You got people over there that talking about, you need to man up, you need to man up, you need to man up, you need to man up. You know what I mean? That type of stuff like that. But they're not beating you over the head,
Right.
messing with your self-esteem
Yeah.
and your self-concept, which is real.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Which is what something very similar to what Nina Turner was saying. Okay, we don't see ourselves in them anymore. Anyhow, all right, folks. We may pick this up tomorrow. If you want me to pick it up tomorrow, we can do it tomorrow. Put the comments, put your vote, or if you want me to continue tomorrow, in the chat after the videos finish. If not, we'll go on to something else. Depends on what you think results are supposed to look like, sir. Keep watching. Because a lot of times the results are the environment has changed, and people don't realize it. Okay, there's three kind of people, right? Okay, three kind of people. Okay, there's there's people that that already know that they're ahead of the game, that know it's getting ready to change. The people that realize things have changed when it has changed, and there's people that are still looking for it. They haven't. Things have changed. They still haven't realized it yet. Okay. Three kinds of people. I guess you're the third kind of person. Anyhow, y'all, let me get out of here. I will see you guys tomorrow.
Muzyka Demonization.